All right, so as we are a little streaming live on Facebook, I'm gonna do a double check. Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah Grandinetti, and I am here with my friend and one of my most favorite facilitators of the Being You content, Laleh Hancock. And we are talking today. Oh, yeah, we are there. We're talking today about creating wellness. Creating wellness in your life by being you. And it was so interesting when I saw that as her chosen title. I was like, I wonder what we're going to talk about today. I wonder what she means by all that. And I know that Laleh does have a business called Global Wellness for All. So I'd love to hear about that. She's also, along with being a BYCF, which is Being You Certified Facilitator, she's a Right Body for You facilitator. She's a Right Voice for You facilitator. She is a Conscious Parents, Conscious Kids facilitator. And she's also a Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider facilitator. So basically, like, we run the gamut of all the things that can come into this live. I'm so excited because you do like play in all those like possibilities. So how much of being you is all those things. Oh, and I also forgot I'm Wealth Creators Anonymous facilitator. Oh my God.
How could you forget that one?
I know, right?
I adore you. Thank you for having me here on your show today. And I wanted it to be a little bit different because, you know, most of us, when we think of being us, we have so many definitions. And I'm discovering, I don't know, I'm 3 years into being a facilitator or however many years I've been doing this. Like, I literally, like, it's self-discovery every day. What being you even means to me.
Right.
You know, I keep realizing all the places I'm still not being all of me, and not from a wrongness, but just there's so much more available. And that's the gift of all these specialties, is that I have found I have so many different areas of interest. And one thing about being you though, it's like being you is for me the core that keeps these other parts of my life in place, and allows it to actually keep expanding. Like every single other specialty you talked about, every time I do a Being You class or I'm in a Being You meeting or whatever's going on, it expands all these other parts of my life, facilitation, my personal life, the businesses. And I don't know how else to say it, but it's like, you know, like your whole body.
Yeah.
You need your heart to allow the rest of your body to still remain alive.
Yeah.
And to me, being you is part of that heart that just keeps everything else singing and working well together.
And so what's cool, when we were talking before we went live here, there's this place with like all the different specialties that you play with. And we were kind of talking about how things, when they can get off like kilter, it plays into like when you're not showing up as all of you. And then I'm looking at all of us who are like going to classes and going home and doing the work and running the clearings and being present and asking questions on our creations and being present with our money, being present with our kids, like being present with our body. We are constantly changing. So you can't really reference like what you were last week as being you. It's really that question of like what every day, if I were being me right now, like what would I choose? If I were being me right now, like how would I be? Who would I be? Where would I be? When would I be? And that, and then looking at these different facets of the classes that you facilitate, where you were talking before we started was like where the being you really is that without the heaviness, I want to say like the foundation into going into all of these things. So can you talk a little bit about like your global wellness for all, and what you were telling me before we started about, it's really about oneness and that kind of.
Yeah. Actually, it's interesting. I forgot to tell you, I'm also a Joy Business Facilitator.
Joy Business, I'm writing it down.
How did I forget that?
Yeah.
No, but when I came into Access, so many parts of my life was working, actually. You know, I found the bars because it was at the peak of like so many amazing things. My business was booming. It's a management consulting company working with corporations, not-for-profits, the government, and stuff like that. And what I realized was how I was handling things. You know, like the minute I got my bars run, I didn't know what had happened. I just knew 5 minutes into it, it was something that I wanted to share with the whole world. Like the whole world needed to know this thing, this magical thing that someone puts their hands on your head is now available. And all I knew was like, the level of stress that I had just dissipated. All that monkey mind that I thought, oh my God, there's just so much conversation going on in my head, went away. My body became relaxed. And, you know, global wellness actually came out of my other business, my Bella Pima, which is a management consulting company. I would work with all these executives, all these companies, and we could work with them on improving how they all communicated, you know, invoice problems, hiring problems. But the level of stress that they had and the way they would use the stress to their disadvantage, meaning health issues and all these other problems, usually created a domino effect of problems in the business. And what I realized was that's the part no one's talking about. You know, like if there's one part of you and your life, whether it was the CEO was having a divorce, right? He was having issues at home, and that was like kind of taking over the business. The business finances were having problems. People were having problems. Like it's this domino effect when there's one area of your life that's not healthy. So that's where Global Wellness for All came from, was about the wellness of all parts of your life. You know, most people think of wellness, they just think about nutrition. Am I eating well and things of that sort? Yeah, there is that factor, but right body kind of covers it from a different communion with your body. But it really was, most of us don't realize how we allow finances to affect our health. You know, like if you are thinking you have a money problem, all these other problems that get created. The same thing, when you're not willing to have your voice in your life, it causes all these other. So what I looked at was not just in my local area, around the world globally, how do we create an environment where people can keep adding to their lives, to their finances, to their relationships, to their voice, to their business. And that's what global wellness became. And I also realized wellness is one of those words in this reality that it doesn't matter what you tell them, they like it.
I like it.
You know, I could be on an airplane talking about joy of business and they freak out, but I could say global wellness and they're like, ooh, what's that? So as another way, you know, use whatever words will get you whatever you require.
I absolutely love that. Question. So back to something you said that I think is such an invitation, and we might not all get it. I get it in a different way now than I did before. But when you found access, you thought everything was working in your life. So why open another door? Like I can tell you so many people who, you know, are like, but my life's great, my this and that. And so what is that we've like hit a bar? Like I often describe it in the Being You classes is like where we stop creating our lives, where it's like, okay, when we're young, we're like, okay, what do I want to be when I grow up? And then we get a little older, like, okay, you know, what sports am I going to play in high school? Okay, what college am I going to go to? And that's being in the question, that's creating, right? And then what college am I going to do? And then what job do I want? What degree do I want? Who do I want to marry? And then somewhere we're like, okay, we hit, and then we stop asking questions. But whatever that bar is for a long time, it can be that comfort zone of, I hit all the things. This is all there is. And somewhere that like question starts to creep back in, and then you start getting a little uneasy and you're like, what is going on? And the monkey mind gets a little crazy. And then you're like, but there was supposed to be more, or I'm aware that there was more, but they don't really have the tools to do it. So can you walk me through what that looked like for you when you're like, okay, I'll give bars run, see what happens. And then you're like, what?
I think it was a little different for me because I don't even know what it is to have a maximum box. Like,
Okay.
I'm this constant curious person. Like, you know, like when I got married to Peter, it was so funny. I had already bought the house before we got married. And I pretty much redid the whole house. And then literally the day when we finished every room, every bathroom, I said to him, let's sell the house. And he was like, what the hell just happened here, crazy lady? It is like, for me, there is no destination. Like I'm constantly looking at ways I can improve things. And I know, like, even the bars that day was a gift. It was my birthday. And this woman that I had met at another training a couple months earlier had called me and said, can I come gift you something? And she's like, here's the website. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's the information. And do you know, twice I tried to get on the old website, not the New Access website, but the old one. I could not understand any of it. Like the videos didn't work very well. Like there was all sorts of like stuff going on. And I just gave up. I was like, I don't care what she's going to do. She's coming to gift me something and I'm going to love it, whatever it is. And like, I had no like, am I going to do it or not do it? And she kept messaging me, have you seen the website? Have you checked out the video? I'm like, not really. Just come on over. And it's almost like, you know, my body knew like, this is a gift and I'm going to receive the gift. And it really, I've never been able to explain it to you, but like, even though I was in business, I was always curious about other stuff. And I had learned all these other tools and techniques, and they weren't all spiritual stuff. They were all over the place. But for a little while, I was a Buddhist monk.
Really? I didn't know that about you.
Oh yeah, I was learning Vietnamese.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, I've tried everything, like, but I never did it from a career or I'm going to become a trainer. It really was, I was always curious. And there were some things, it was about books. So I'd read a few chapters and I got whatever I got and I was done with the book, you know, and it kind of got me to my next destination and the next one. And Access is really the first set of tools that I knew I wanted to be a practitioner. I wanted to be a facilitator of it. And it wasn't like I just wanted to learn one thing. It was like, oh, the bars, and then, oh, body processes, because I've always loved bodies. Oh, wait, we have this ESP and this SOP, and there's the Being You. Like, and then it was like this continuous keeping me also involved in new energies and new ways, because I get bored. So I haven't gotten bored in Access at all, but in other worlds, I did. So I always needed more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
But I get some people would be like,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I do get though, there's a lot of people that I've met that are part of my life that would feel they accomplish things and then they would plateau until something else, maybe someone said something or brought something else available for them. And then, or they were curious and they said, oh, what's that thing? I don't know.
I just want to say hi to Jen and Nydia. And then we have Arena on and Maritza. These are the people that are popping up. And then Maritza says hello. And also you guys, you can ask questions in the chat if you would like me to read them to Laleh. That's why I'm kind of looking down. I'm not paying attention to my friend here. I'm just also looking at the chat. So when you're facilitating people on Being You, and what that looks like for them, because it's also very interesting where people are like, oh, that person knows how to be them, so I'll be like them. It's like, no, there's actually no one who can, like, we can ask you questions as facilitators to access more of you, but we can't actually teach you how to be you because you're the only one that knows how to be you, right?
Yeah.
But we have tools in the BYCF or Being You classes that help you to access that knowing. But so if you want to give like your favorite tool, or if somebody was like living in a plateau and we're like, I don't know what it is. Like what I see show up in classes is like this, like, I don't know what that energy is. I don't even know if they're calling it energy at this point. It's just like, there's this nagging thing that's there that like, I am either going through all the things I didn't choose, didn't do and make myself wrong. Or I'm like, I was like destined for greater is something I hear and I'm not being it. So what is something that like Laleh, the BYCF and Laleh, like what would you say to that? Or how would you like inspire them to look from a different place?
You know, one of the things that I love about the BYCF classes, these adventures of being classes, is that it tends to draw in all kinds of people in one room. You know, different backgrounds, different ages. Like for example, I had one young lady who was very bashful in school, and she actually came along with her mom. She didn't come for the class herself, she thought. You know, she came to be encouragement from mom. And what she actually discovered, and I talked about this on my Facebook Live yesterday too, she actually realized how much she was starting to mimic her mom, you know? And when even asking her, you know, what are things that bring you joy? Like, what are things that get you excited during the day? And, you know, initially she wanted to go into the things that mom had identified as the things she was proud of her for. But then like the more we actually had conversation, and she also got to like observe other people. I mean, it was beautiful. She's 11 years old. And at 11, she discovered all the places she was giving up being her and her uniqueness to fit into the family and be just like mom. And by the end of it, it was so beautiful to see the way the mom stepped up and the way the daughter stepped up and how they could be each being themselves while creating this creationship of being together. And that's the gift of these classes. You never know what at the end of the day it's going to look like. But all I can tell you is that I've just found that people who attend these classes leave very happy. Like they find this inner joy in their body, in their life that they didn't even know existed, even if they thought they were happy people. And they self-discover that there's all these things that they took for granted of their gifts, their talents, and now they can actually apply it in a different way. And many of them actually message me how much more money they're making. So it's not just, you know, the acknowledgement that they're doing, but they're actually taking that acknowledgement and doing something with it for their lives. And many of them become entrepreneurs, which is really fun. You know, they get to explore things outside of what their current jobs are.
That is awesome. Okay, so we have a question in the chat. So Maritza would love us to explain what plateau is.
Okay. So, okay, do you want to do that?
Oh, no, I go right ahead. I'm reading the next question that's also in there. So,
okay, cool. Yeah, I think a lot of times plateau for me is when, you know, I don't know, English language would mean like you're going, and then you plateau. You kind of go, you know, there's not a lot of growth anymore. It just kind of stays stationary, maintaining something instead of actually growing. And that's what I think happens a lot of times when we go into conclusion, when we think we got something right. A lot of times it's when we think we got something wrong and we're not willing to look at, you know, how to change our own mindset. But plateau doesn't have to be part of your life, but it could be something that just reminds you, hey, what else is possible here? Like even just that, or how does it get even better, allows us to be from wherever we are to that next possibility with that next awareness and that next curiosity of exploration.
Yeah. And I would add too, so it's actually kind of like a, has a double meaning. So plateau, when you're learning geography as a kid, there's mountains that have like peaks and there's valleys that go really low. And then if you're at a plateau, you're just at even ground. You're just doing this. You're not climbing anymore at all. You're also not riding the wave down. You're just plateau. You're just an even keeled thing. And so what people do is because they're not climbing anymore, but that to them often will go, oh, but I'm also not dipping anymore. So if I hit a plateau of non-creation, basically, then I'm safe. It's very much like the comfort zone, the end zone, the whatever that is. And then they sit there and go, okay, cool. I might not have any like risk in the game, but I'm also not creating my life. So if Maritza sent a smile, so I think she gets it. So then Nat says, this is such perfect timing. What do you recommend? I create things and the opportunity does happen. Then I get the doubts of, can I do it? And all the distractors take over. And then I go into, am I sabotaging it? Energies to achieve things. I do bars and processes. However, this is a stuckness.
You know, it's interesting. I was just talking about this earlier today. The more we ask questions, the more awareness we have, we tend to pick up more of other people's distractions too. And like I was saying, this morning was the first day after World Happiness Day and Dane's amazing Facebook Live yesterday. I woke up for the first time in probably years where I didn't have a million other people's thoughts, feelings, emotions in my world. Um, and so that amazing question that, Dane introduced to the world is, who does this belong to? And what I have found is the more you're looking to expand your life, the more questions you're asking, the more you're willing to, like be outside of this reality, the more you will become aware of how everyone else is functioning. And would you be willing to flip it? For me, gratitude is one of my tools in my toolbox for every single item in the world. Would you be willing to be thankful for wherever you are? And the minute the distractors come in, be like, oh, I'm so grateful. I just became aware that there's distractors. Is it mine? Is it someone else's? And if I'm asking for clients to show up, I wonder how I can use their distractors to my advantage. Because a lot of times you're more aware of all the people who are looking for you, who are exploring and would love to have the energy of what you can offer, who would love for you to run bars or whatever it is your business is. But because we become so aware of everyone else's universe, sometimes it's hard to differentiate their distractions versus yours. But if everything was gratitude, and if everything was something that you could use to your advantage, what if you could use, like, for example, would you be willing during the time you feel like you got distractions or whatever's going on at that moment, say, oh, anyone who's looking for me, here's my phone number, here's my email address, here's my website, you can find me. And see how that might flip around.
Yeah, that is awesome. Just that, who does this belong to? And what if it's like, I just saw like a tagline under who does this belong to? And what if it belongs to your clients?
Oh my God, I've been telling people that all the time, because it is like, the more we do these energy pulls, we bring clients into our, we do this whole energy out there, your energy spread for everyone who's looking for you. Guess what? Yeah, they're trying to find you. But then you go into this, and instead of them coming to you, you're just energetically pushing them away. So truly, like, Dana has this app, Who Does It Belong To? You can download it. You could set how often you want it to remind you. I mean, the more aware I become, the more I'm using Who Does This Belong To a million times a day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Sarah, can I share another tool?
Yes.
It's one of my favorites. It's how much space can my body and I occupy not to be impacted, affected, or impinged by other people's universes. And everything that is, we destroy and create it. Right, wrong, good and bad, pump, pock, all night, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And anything that doesn't allow you to have all of that space with your body, we destroy and create all of that. Right, wrong, good and bad, pump, pock, all night, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Because what I found is you actually are so much bigger. And when you're willing to be the expanded energy and space, things won't affect you. But the minute things are affecting you, it means you're in other people's world. So who am I being? Whose universe am I aware of? And how can I use this to my advantage are the three that I love to use.
I love that. And for those who don't know much access, there is a question I'm going to address really quick. James wants to know, he says, I don't have the money to get more access. What do you advise? What I'd love to say to you, James, Dr. Dane here, DAINHEER. This is him. This is his book where these classes that we do as Being You Certified Facilitators come out of, or were born from, or inspired by, whatever the words are. He has like over 300 free videos, and on YouTube, you can just look at his YouTube channel, and it is actually like, he happens to be my brother, and it is actually where I started. So I started playing the videos myself, just so that I could go at my own pace and looking at all of this and at being in the question. So definitely check that out. A response to the first question, and then I do have.
Wait. Can I give it a response to James as well?
Sure.
Hey, James, what is a question when you say I don't have the money for the access classes? See, that's actually one of those things. Is that really you being you saying that? Or is that more of kind of like the autopilot? Because a lot of times we're not being us. We're going into the autopilot of our friends, our families, whatever, right? Whatever we learn. But money is one of those things that comes to play when you ask. So if you flipped it and we're like, what would it take for me to have the money to attend the class? Then you actually allow the universe to contribute to you generating and creating and actualizing the money. Okay. And Dane's videos are amazing. And I'll tell you, I've taken a million classes in Access and I go to those videos all the time. Anything like any questions I have, the first thing I say is, where can I go to get the information that I require right now? And sometimes like literally an hour ago, it was this book. I have so many books and I just like literally open it and it's exactly what I'm looking for. And 90% of the time, it's actually Dane's videos. So I'm on YouTube, all I have to do is type in one word that comes up for me or whatever. And then poof, there's a bunch of videos and he just addresses it. Like last week, just a few days ago, I was in Italy and I had a conversation with Dane and we were talking about something. And that night I went back and I'm like, where can I go to get more information? And I went back to my audios from a class I took with him 2 years earlier. And it was the superpowers call. And oh my God, I listened to the first one and I was transcribing the whole thing, every clearing he gave and every question he asked. And it was every question I had was addressed by call number one. I never even made it to call number 13. It just was call number one. And I told him the next day, I was like, oh my God, you saved my life last night. He's like, really? How did I do that? I'm like, I was listening to your call. And he's like, can you send me the transcript too? And it was, because there's Access is so different. Most of us think we buy a book, it's just a book, or listening to a video is just a video. But when you include consciousness, you're actually bringing a whole new level of energy that's within the books, within the videos, that even if you don't do anything, just by listening or reading, you allow the molecules that were solid to actually not be solid anymore and to allow it to give you more information. So I wonder what is possible with you having access to all the videos and also being able to generate more money to do whatever you desire to do.
I love that so much. And yeah, so being in the question was kind of one of the things that I was going to go to get, just to give people who are just like, what are you talking about? Some information. But let me say this. So our first question had a response after you responded. She said, oh yes, that's a great way of being. It was a job opportunity at work, great interview for a promotion. Then I doubted myself. You're right. It was the doubt, insecurities. Were the doubt, insecurities mine or the other applicants? And then she loved your clearings. This is Nat. And she says, I will loop that one. So awesome. That's what we like to hear. So one of the things I'd love to just riff on with you a little bit is, in this reality, we grew up asking a question means looking for an answer. And so when I heard you, when I was listening to you talk, like asking those questions and as clearings, what I picked up on and then realized quickly it wasn't mine, because I was tapping into all the people going to watch this now and in the future, is that it is that like, okay, so when you say like, who am I being right now? A lot of people go, okay, it's my mom, it's my husband, it's my kids, it's my, and then try to like align whatever they're being with, if it's that person or maybe it's not that person, and they go into the answer. And sometimes you have like an awareness like, wow, that's definitely something that like my mom would do, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that. So can you kind of, riff on that with me for a little bit so that maybe kind of bring some clarity?
Yeah. And it was interesting. It was Dr. Dane's, Who Does This Belong To? So before the app existed, he used to tell us for 3 days, for every thought, feeling, emotion, sensation, pain, whatever you have, ask the question, who does this belong to? Put it out there and then say, is it mine, someone else, or something else? And I remember the first time I did this, I was at my kitchen sink area and I was about to make some food. And out of nowhere, my back went like, ah! And I was like, oh my God, the tool. Who does this belong to? Is it mine, someone else, or something else? And it was like, I literally saw my mom's face right in front of me. And I was like, ooh. And then I was like, oh, okay. I was about to go blame this, that it's my mom's, or to think, oh, if it's my mom's, then I can't go to the next step, which is return it to the sender. So one of the things I discovered very quickly at that moment was, what if I didn't care who it belonged to? But this was more of changing the energy of the things that I had made real for me, and that they are my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, my sensations, my pain, or whatever. And then I also realized that when we say it's someone else, we say return it to the sender with consciousness attached. It might be my mom also perceived that energy, but it goes to that first place of where that energy got created, and then it adds consciousness to it, so it's split, so it's no longer stuck. So then it actually made me feel good that I didn't have to return the pain to my mom, but it was beyond my mom. Whatever that sensation I was aware of would go to that initial creation point and then go boom. And now everyone else who thought this was theirs can be free and feel like they have a miracle. And I was one of those brave souls who never likes to do anything someone tells me. I like to do more. So I had said, instead of 3 days, I was doing 3 weeks of who does it belong to? And I was like, okay, so for 3 weeks, nothing had to be mine. What would I choose? I said, okay, so for everything, I would ask the questions. And if it's someone else, I would return it, consciousness attached. And then if it was something else, I would send contributions to the earth. I could do a prayer. I could send a kiss. So I ended up doing both. And in like 2 days, I had nothing. Like everything was great. But I just continued because I just realized nothing belonged to me.
Yeah. I love that.
And I'll tell you guys once again, there's this free app. You could set it to remind you as often as you like. And it's one of the greatest gifts for me to know all the things. It wasn't mine, but it just opened my awareness and acknowledgement of just how psychic I was, how much I was able to pick up what was happening in everyone's world. Awesome. And it doesn't go away, guys. Years later, I still use this tool a couple of days ago. So it's one of those in the toolbox.
Yeah, absolutely. And we often go, oh, that's the one we learned on day one. We're advanced now. No. It's day one because that's the one you're going to remember for sure. I want to say hi to Elba and Carol joined us, and Julia and Dale and Aurelia. So I want to say thank you guys all for being here and joining us. So I would love to wrap a little bit, like not wrap it, like wrap up on this point. Looking at the global wellness for all, being about oneness, being about like what we talked about in the beginning is not being you disrupts the wellness of all the different areas of your life. What would you like people to know today about what it looks like when, if you're buying that you have a money problem and that's kind of off, but you think everything else is great in your life, but if this money thing would change, like where do all those things kind of contribute? We were kind of talking a little bit before the call, and I just wanted to kind of look at that a little bit more before we go. And yes, let's just wrap on that for a minute while I look into the chat.
Cool. It's really interesting because, look at your own life. I had to ask a lot of questions the last couple of years. My husband had created some health problems a couple of years ago. And it was really interesting because, I'm in that life world. I work with people who had the similar symptoms that he had, the level of stress he had at work, and the things that were going on for him. And for clients, it was so easy. They would just actually listen and ask questions, and then poof, their world would change. And with my husband, he really was holding on to a lot of the different things that were going on at work. And his dad had passed away, and he just went through a phase of depression and some other things that were going on. And I realized we can't solve other people's problems. We can be there to support them. We can be there, but we really have to do it from no point of view. And that's one of the greatest gifts I've learned from Access Consciousness, is that when we are willing not to make someone wrong or right for whatever they're choosing, but for them to know you've got their back and you're there if they're willing to choose it. You have tools you can share with them, but not to throw the tools at them. And there's a period where, his body physically almost died. And it was a difficult time for me, because I knew what could change it. But he wasn't willing to have wellness in all parts of his life. And eventually he did. It was a time period, and then it flipped, and he was doing better. But he went to every doctor there is. And my husband's a cyclist, and he's the healthiest person on the planet, and no one could understand what was wrong with him. He saw 8 different kinds of doctors, and none of them could tell him what was going on. Well, it was him. He'd made a decision, and his body was reflecting the decisions he'd made. And one thing I realized is that you can care about someone, and at the same time, you have to respect what they're willing to be, what they're not willing to be. And for them to know that they have a place they can come to if they want to ask a question, but that you're not going to throw your tools at them. Because I was good at that when I first came to Access. I wanted every person to know everything there was about Access. And I realized that does not work. It just pushes them further away. And it was, I realized, though, when you asked me that, more than ever, why Global Wellness for All was so important for me, because it kept me still choosing to be alive. It still kept me to choose to create greater, and to, no matter what's going on, not allow others also to affect my world. I can still care about them, but that doesn't mean that they have to disrupt my world. And I think that's something before Being You, I could not do. I was the best mom, best sister, and all of that by sacrificing me, instead of being the best mom that I would like to be, And so, yeah, thanks for that question, because it really opened a whole new world of possibilities.
Yeah. So James seems like he's getting it, because he has a question in here that basically ends with, what am I doing wrong? So I was going to address that, but thank you, James, for your vulnerability, because at the end he says, right now, what's right about me that I can't see?
That's one of the most amazing questions, because it is when finances aren't working, or your relationship doesn't work with someone, or you think there's stuff going on in your health, the first thing we want to say is, what did I not do correctly? Where did I overspend? We just want to go into that place. But that place is a rabbit hole. It's going to get you deeper and further into no possibilities. The minute you flip it, what is right about this I'm not getting, you actually allow the universe to contribute to you. You allow others to be able to gift you stuff, as well as you have more awareness of things. So thank you, James, because that is one of the most magical questions. And I used it last week around a situation. And it is the first place we want to think that we did something wrong. But when you flip it to the right, it actually benefited me for the thing that I thought I had done wrong. So if you could have gratitude, that's the one thing too. Gratitude and judgment, they can't live in the same household, they can't coexist together. So, that whole what's right about this, you actually are bringing it into that energy of gratitude.
Absolutely. It's funny. It reminds me of something that, so I have my facilitation business with Cassie Summers, and we have 10 interns that play with us. And a lot of people would start their questions with, correct me if I'm wrong. And I was like, okay, there's no wrongness here. We're going to change this thing. So now it's acknowledge me if I'm right is like what we say before we like share whatever, you know, the question is. And it just started to change the energy, because like if you just lead with, I must be wrong, so here's your permission to tell me so, you know. And yeah, if you just took the, like Gary, it's been on a lot of things like Simone's spoke to it, and Gary spoke about it a lot, about like the need to, like, knowing he's never wrong, but never having the need to be right. And that has set me so free on so many levels and so many equations and so many things in my life lately. Cause I'm, you know, you get it when you get it, they say in Access. And those two things finally linked up to me of what it's like, well, if I'm not like, I'm never wrong, but then does that mean I'm always right? And it's like, no, no, you just don't have like the desire, the need, the like proving, the whatever in your world to be right. You just, or no, you're never wrong. So when something shows up the way that you're like weren't planning on or weren't looking at, and maybe you should look at your expectations as well. That's another fun one. But when it shows up different, like what awareness did you gain? What do you now aware of that you could choose totally different? And what if there was nothing wrong? Like, what is right about this I'm not getting? So, and what is right about me I'm not getting, James? That is awesome. Hi to Victoria. And then Carol says, love this. Yep. I've also thrown the tools at people. Oops, learned quickly to stop that. Awesome. If you guys don't have any more questions for Laleh, I would love to hear like where are you going to be in the world? Where can people find you? When's your next class? All those beautiful things.
Well, I have to say there's a lot of things coming up. And the best place that has, I think, the most information is my Facebook, but it's for Global Wellness for All. So if you go to Facebook/Global Wellness for all the classes are up there. And I have to thank Dr. Dane here. He's just such an inspiration for me. And I love that Being You book. And we are launching actually an English/Russian Being You book club that's kickstarting next week on the 27th. So all the facilitators, we're going to speak in English. So if you speak English, you're all set. And we're going to go through the book, and it's 75 euros, but this book has been such a contribution in so many ways for me. Yeah, I love that book. I've given it to so many people on airplanes and elsewhere. Yeah, so that starts there for me. And then I'm creating a few things in Russia and Germany that have the whole Being You. Like we're going to have a whole Being You dinner. We're going to do, Dr. Dane and Katerina also wrote 2 books. One of them is called The Baby Unicorn. No.
Yep, you got it. Baby Unicorn Manifesto.
Yeah, Unicorn Manifesto. And then The Baby Dragon Manifesto. And the Baby Unicorn, I'm actually going to have a cotton candy party in Russia. If you all want to come to Russia, they'll be there. But once again, like I said, for me, the Being You and the tools are literally like weaved into everything that I'm being and every class that I'm facilitating. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. But you can find me there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming to play with me today and being such a gift to all the things you touch. And again, you guys, the book is Being You, Changing the World by Dr. Dane Here. You can go to his website, drdanehere.com, to find out more, or it's on Amazon. And if you have any further questions, you can even direct message PM either myself or Laleh, and we would love to contribute to you finding out more about Being You. If you haven't yet, will you follow the Adventure of Being You Facebook page? That would be so awesome in helping us create more with these tools and getting this show more seen so that people can meet more of the Being You facilitators. I am Sarah Grandinetti, and did you have something?
I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for this amazing creation you're putting out into the world and the gift that you are. I mean, you are being you during these shows, and thank you for that. I'm so grateful.
Thank you, Laleh. I'm so grateful too. And all the they're like a group of people who like put this together. It's super fun, and it is just that exactly what the Being You classes are, is that like taster invitation to something that's different. And literally you can go to a 2-hour class, and I've had people message me after a 2-hour class that seems so simple. It's like the sweetest little manual, and it's just a little dip, in the shallow end of this, like how far you could go. And people are like, oh my God. Like I started asking this one question, like you spoke of, who does this belong to? And everything has changed. And that is actually like where I know you and I both stand together in like so much gratitude to get to facilitate these tools and change people's lives in the way that they change. And even if it's like a little change that grows over time or massive change, it really doesn't matter. It's just so cool to see things changing. And thank you for that acknowledgement. I'm having so much fun and getting to know the BYCFs even more, because we're all in a group together, but getting to like really engage. Like I didn't know you were a Buddhist monk before. Now I know.
It was short-lived, but yes, definitely.
I mean, if we didn't have this conversation, I don't know when it would have came up. So, I'm just really, really grateful, and so grateful for Dane. He just continues to show up and be more and more of him, and his vulnerability is such an invitation to all of us. So, thank you. We will be back next week. I should be writing down like who it is each week, but I like the element of surprise. But I can tell you next week, March 28th, 3 p.m. here on the Adventure Being You show, or Being You page. So if you follow it or you put notifications on, anybody who's on this who like loved Dr. Dane's Facebook Live yesterday, I am making it my business to tell everybody to turn their notifications on, because so many people are like, oh my God, where's the replay? I didn't know. Because like people don't go on Facebook all the time. So I'm going to put it at the end of like everything I create is like, turn your notifications on for Dr. Dane.
And he's such a gift in so many ways. I mean, everything he does is such a gift. And that one yesterday, oh my God, I had to watch it multiple times.
Yeah, totally. I had it like playing in the background, like on repeat again. Absolutely. So you can go to Dr. Dane here on Facebook, HEER. And Dane is also spelled a little interesting, DAIN. He was like born into this reality with not being the norm. Usually Dane is DANE. So anyways, DAIN. HER. If you go to his biz page, you can watch that there. And then, if you like had fun with me and Laleh today, will you also share this with anybody you know, or tag people, anybody you know that like this would contribute to? It really is a target for us to like, get these tools in the hands of the people who are asking for them. So until next time, I'm Sarah Grandinetti. This is Laleh Hancock. Thank you so much. And go create your life.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.